All praise to him. All right, you guys, we've been on our journey for several months now. It's been awesome. You may ask yourself the question, what is this all about? Well, what this is all about is for us to develop a better relationship with the Creator. Our relationship has been challenged because of, several things. Being in exile, having the temple completely destroyed, having our priesthood destroyed, having our kingships taken away from us, having our fathers' promises forgotten, introduced to new things that don't necessarily add up with our truth. Our truth is quite different than what we've been told. We have this idea about sacrifices. We have this idea that has been given to us for years and years and years, by people who loved us, which is our parents and their parents, and all that's all they knew is what they were told. Literally, this was beaten into our people about what sacrifice is and what the Creator is going to accept and what He's not going to accept. So this week, as we've been reading, we've been finding out some different sacrifices. The first one that we talked about is called Ola. It's an Ola, okay? An Ola is one that has been ascending up to the Creator, one that is done as a willful contribution. It's not for sin. So chapter number 1 talks about when someone is to bring an offering to the Creator for an Ola, something to be ascending up to Him. And it said that the offering is by fire, meaning it's a ruach nakoach, meaning it's a sweet smelling savor to the Creator, which a lot of times we're trying to figure out, well, what does that mean? Does He have a nose? Does he smell these things? Does He see these things? And so we again ascribe, different attributes to Him, and based on us being human beings, all we can understand is things that you and I smell, see, touch, feel, hear, taste, and smell. So we're automatically thinking that the Creator is a human being, or He has some human attributes. And the fact of the matter is He doesn't whatsoever. He's not a human being. Okay. He says that in the book of Numbers. He says it in the book of Hosea. He says it all the time. He says that, you guys think that I'm like you. I'm nothing like you. I am supposed to be set apart as being kadosh, and to being, set apart from all other things, set apart from all creation, set apart from those things that have been made, that I have made, which is the sun, the moon, and the stars, to be set apart from the waters and the things that dwell within the seas. Set apart from all living creation that's on the earth, and that crawls and walks and sleeps and eats and all these different types of things. So our minds it's kind of hard for us to wrap our minds around the idea of this entity, this power that we're introduced to. So it's easy for a man to want our Creator to be like us, because it did say in Better Sheep that He said, let's make man in our image. And when He was saying that, He wasn't speaking to other gods. He wasn't speaking to, some other person. He was speaking to the earth. In context, when you look at that, the language itself tells us, which is a whole nother study, which tells us that He was talking to the earth. Everything else, it was a conversation that He was having with Ha-Adamah. And the Adam means man. Adamah is the feminine of Adam, which is the earth. So she's supposed to work in cooperation with the Creator to bring forth a creation that resembles her, and then also resembles Him. The part of us that resembles her is the idea that we're from the dust. We stand like trees. We need water to survive. We need sunlight. We have cycles, just like the earth has its cycles. Our skin has cycles. Women have cycles. There's sort of cycles in our life. We live, and then we also start to deteriorate after some time. So we can see that through all creation with plants and flowers. And sometimes we experience illnesses which make us sick, just like some plants and some animals. They go through the same thing. Um, Death is part of our cycle, so that's part of it as well. So we're trying to, figure things out, who we are and who he is. And when I say he, what I'm talking about is this entity, which could be called it, okay? Because he's not just he consists of both uh, energies of both male and female. Because he said, when I make man Adam in my image, Adam wasn't just a male. It wasn't just a zakar. It was also a nakeva. A nakeva is a feminine, right? So both of those energies is what humanity is. It's not just Adam is a man and that's his name. That was never his name. His name, Yah said he spoke to Adam, but when he's speaking to Adam, he's speaking to both energies, which is really important, because when we look at our relationships between a husband and wife, we're looking at one individual. We're not looking at separate. Here I'm the husband, you're the wife, and then we operate separately. God did not design us like that. He designed us to where we're one. We may be in two different bodies, but we're supposed to come together as one, which is in our Torah portion. And you say, well, I don't see it. I don't see, this becoming one in the Torah portion. I do see a male and I do see a female, in terms of the animals that we're supposed to bring to the Creator, depending on what the offering is. Some offerings require just males, which are, the son of a bull, for the Olah. When we talk about the Minchah, it had no animals mentioned, right? It's from the grain, from the flour, the wheat, which would take and, crush it up and make flour, add the lavona to it, which is the frankincense, and add the shemen, which is the olive oil. Then we get into the shalamim, which is the peace offering, which we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. That one there, he says, you would bring me something from the herds or something from the flocks. And either it could be a sheep or it could be a goat. And it had to be either a zakar or it had to be a nekeva. Okay. So where is this connection between these offerings and the Creator and us and our relationship in terms of like marriage? If you have children listening tonight, I don't know how old they are, you may want them to, if they can understand, it's not going to be rated R, okay? But it does talk about sexuality, and that's inside of this Torah portion. No one who doesn't understand the language or don't understand the connection between Yah and his people and what he's made. Everything that he's made represents his character, what he's about, right? Anything that goes outside of that, it would be indicative of something that doesn't work or doesn't function. Okay, so let's take a look right quick at what we have, so I can bring a better understanding to us about what the Creator is seeking from us. Okay, so let's begin right. I think we should start right here. Okay. Can you see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
All right. I'll just do a quick review. That's fine. All right. So it talks about these laws, called Wayikra. Okay. And we discovered earlier this week on Yom Shalishi that this in particular word Wayikra. Okay. The root of this word is the Kaf, the Resh, and the Ayin. Okay. We're going to see several words with these letters in it. Okay. So we got called for Kara. Okay. And in English, it would be Qara, Quara. Okay. That means to call or proclaim. Okay. So we saw that. That's what it means. That's the name. So he's calling. Okay. So he called Moshe and he told him what he wanted to say. Okay. And then he says, and we don't have a whole bunch of time, so I'm going to kind of go a little fast. Verse number 2, he says, speak to the sons of Israel. Okay, that includes both male and female, and say to them, you are to say to them, which is a command. Okay, you are to say to them, when you say speak to them, Adam. Okay, Adam, as I told you, and you can find this in Genesis, which is called Bereshit chapter 1, verse number 27. It's going to say that he made them both male and female. So anytime we talk about Adam, we're talking about both male and female. Don't ever forget I told you that, okay? But they're supposed to do something. He says if they are going to yakriv. So we got a kof right here, we got a resh, and now instead of it being a aleph on the end, we have a bet, okay? This word right here is conjugated with a different type of verb. What I mean by that is how this verb is functioning, okay, which is important to know. It says when anyone, male or female, when they brings, okay, this is really cause. They're caused to bring. That's what this verb is, caused to bring. So it has to come from within. They got yakriv, okay, but I'm going to show you what the root is. Okay, so we're going to remove this letter and we're going to remove this letter, and it's going to be this letter, and this letter. They're going to be the 3-letter root, okay, which tells us the meaning of the word. All the other letters that are involved in this word has something to do with who it is, third person masculine singular, the first letter, and this one we're here tells us that it's a hifel. That's something in grammar, okay? But I want you to understand, you could go to Bible Hub, and when you go there, when you see words like this, you'd be like, well, that doesn't look like karav, what it is, okay? We're going to click on it. Karav, okay? That's the name, Quarav, okay? Which means something. To come near and to approach, okay? So the idea is if someone is caused, okay, to come near or to approach me. This word here is also used, okay, in an idea of sometimes a wayigash as well, as a man coming near or approaching someone to get close to them, okay? So the altar and the offerings have a lot of meaning. And when we were taught as a Christian, we just thought they were animals, right? And that there's just a bull, a lamb, and a goat. And so what they've done is they minimize and say, well, he's not interested in those offerings because they're animals. He's not interested in animals, right? You know, they use the scripture. He says, well, you know, I don't want your offerings of the goat and the bull. So people go, oh, he doesn't want any offerings. That's not true. That's not true whatsoever. Yah is always going to expect contributions from Israel, even when they go back to the land. This is established in the fact that the priests are going to always bring Yahweh offerings. And that's in Jeremiah chapter number 33. Okay. So here, the idea of Israel approaching Yahweh with anything, okay, is because he wants us to draw close to him, right? So there's by no human means, okay, he's not using human means of himself to draw next to us. He's putting human beings in place as like an intermediator, like the Leviim. They're supposed to collect everything, but the relationship between Yah and his people is based upon these offerings and what they represent. So I think it's important for me to give you the foundation of why, okay? Yah wants us to draw close to him, okay? He calls us his wife, okay? So when the wife is asked to draw next to her husband, she has to come in a certain fashion, in a certain way. What does he want? He wants a closeness with his people. And this is one of the ways that he chose to get close to us. Okay. Because why? Because Yah says, no man has ever seen me. If a man has seen me, he will what? He's going to die.
Yeah.
You're going to die. Okay. So he sent it apart to let us know that I'm not a human being. Moshe said, I want to see you. He said, I can't let you see me. Otherwise, you're going to die. So what we need to understand is that the only way that we're going, this is so important. The only way you and I are ever going to get close to Yahweh, okay, is through the means, listen, of what's inside of us to bring these sacrifices to Yah. Yah is always going to want sacrifices. Okay. And I'll show you a scripture of that a little bit later. Okay. But the reason why he wants this approach is because his desire is to be intimate. That's what his desire is, to be intimate. Intimacy between a husband and wife is sacred. It's so sacred that Yah says, if any man is to touch another man's wife, I'm going to kill you. It's not okay for a man to look upon another man's wife. That's called a transgression against the 10 words. Okay. Yah is very, very particular and very, he says, I'm jealous, about his woman. He's very jealous. Okay. If someone comes next to him, they have to be in a certain fashion. Okay. So I'm going to describe some things to you, and I just want you to keep your mind open about why I'm saying what I'm saying. So the idea of sacrifice is to draw near and to approach and to come close. Okay. That's what it's for, approaching. That's why the offering that he's mentioned, this first one right here, is called a olah. I'll write it out right here for you. Olah. Okay. It's an aleph, a lamed, and a hey. Okay. We know this is strength, this is the staff, and this is the on it. Okay. So again, and this means to be lifted up. Okay. To lift up. That's what this means, to be lifted up. Okay. So there's a fragrance, there's a scent that's coming up to Yah from this offering. Okay. So he's asking for them to bring it. Now, if you notice, there's a difference between the word offering and the word sacrifice. Okay. Sacrifice has to do with what you would call, it's always associated with slaughter. That's part of it. But he uses this term right here called karaban or karban. Okay. And that means a gift. Okay. A draw near. So you're drawing near, right? You're coming close with a gift. Okay. Presenting to him. You say, well, what am I supposed to do? Well, I'm supposed to bring this. They were supposed to bring these, the behemoth. He says anything that comes from the livestock or anything from the herd. Okay. There's a word right here from the herd that I want to bring out to you. Okay. I want to bring this out to you to give you a little deeper insight. So we understand this word baquar, okay, B-A-Q-A-R, baquar. It's cattle, herd, or oxen. It's from a herd, okay? So it's associated with, but it comes from this word called baquar. Same word. Well, look what it means. It means to inquire. So you're telling me that something from the herd has the same word, same identical letters and everything, but it's extending meaning from being an animal, from a noun that goes to a herd, okay, is to inquire and to seek. This is the reason why Yahweh is asking from something from a herd, okay? Why? Because what he wants from us is for us to seek and to inquire from him. Remember, this is not an obligation. This is not a mandatory obligation from the children. He says, if anybody wants to draw near to me, this is what you draw near to me. You only draw near for Yah for a reason, and that is to seek, and that is to inquire. That's what we've been missing. We've been thinking that, he's our Elohim, and all we do is just say he's our God. And then we do a couple of prayers and we say that we're thankful for some things, and then that's it. No, Yah's asking the children of Israel, if you draw close to me and you bring something to me is something from your herd, which is of great, great, great value. It's one of the greatest values of their possessions that they own was an ox or something from their herd. Huge. Okay. So that animal means to inquire and to seek. Okay. That's one of the meanings of these animals. Okay. So that's put that feather in your cap, right? So that's the action behind this animal. Okay. Why is he mentioning animals? Because Yah has chosen animals to teach the children of Israel. Is through the flocks, it's through the herds, it's through the maintenance, it's through taking care of them, is through the management of them, it's through the accounting of them, the pukude of them. It's between to find out whether or not they're sick or whether or not they're injured. It's about how they lead them. When Yah led the children of Israel out of Mitzrayim, he led them as if they were a flock of people, a herd of people by a shepherd. So the background and the backdrop for us as a people is always associated with shepherding. It's always associated with shepherding. We find shepherding as part of our culture through Avraham. We find it through Yitzchak. We find it through Yaakov. We find it through, all of our line, through our people. Okay. So this has been associated with us. We find it in Egypt when they got there. He says, well, what's your occupation? And said, we're shepherds, which is very detestable to these other nations. They don't like shepherds, right? But we're called the shepherd kings. Okay. If you got a king, then you got a queen. If you got a king and a queen, you got a prince. If you got a prince, you got a princess. Okay. So we're a royal family of what you would call agriculturist people. Okay. Agriculture. That's just the reason why he's given us a land. And that's why he says that when Israel gets back to the land, I'm going to give them sheep, and I'm going to give them herds, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So we have to, it's kind of hard for us to wrap our mind around this idea, because we've been so separated from who we truly are. Okay. So that's the reason why, back on the animals, that he's chosen the herd or the flock, because it represents an attitude towards coming towards him. Okay. So offering again means a gift. It means to draw next to him. So he's saying, hey, if anybody does this, they got to do this. They got to bring this. I stand corrected on the letter that I said for Olah. It is not an aleph. It is an ayin. So forgive me. It's an ayin. Okay. An ayin. Okay. Which has to do with the eye, and the lamed is the staff. Okay. And when you say to eye, you use the eye to look. And when you look at the staff, you're looking at the authority. So anytime you see that, looking at authority. Okay. Yah said that these offerings would have to be in a certain fashion when you brought them. Does anybody tell me what are some of the criteria for this? If you were to bring him something, what would it have to be?
Without blemish?
Yes, that's really, that's the correct answer. In this in particular offering, right, which is a olah. Okay, excuse me. When you talk about the olah, the one that's ascending, it can only be a male. Okay, and this male has to be without blemish. Okay, tamim means that it has to be complete, or what you would say, mature. Okay, it has to be mature. It has to be complete, ready to. Can hear someone? Okay. Here you go.
BibleHub.com.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. So back to what I was saying, the offering had to be a male, and it had to be literally what they would call perfect. Okay. Because anybody tell me why a male? Why do you think he's asking for a male? Why do you think Yah was asking for a male?
All four firstborns?
Yes, it has something to do with the firstborns, and the name of a male in Hebrew is called a zakar. Okay. And a zakar means a memorial. Okay. And it also means to remember. Okay. Okay. As a memorial to remember. So you can see there's reasons behind why. You always got to ask yourself why. Why does it have to be this way? He wants us to, he doesn't only want us to remember something, but when you bring Yahweh what he's asking for, he remembers. And what is he going to remember? Well, he's going to remember the males. He's going to remember what he did in Mitzrayim. He's going to remember that the male's supposed to see him how many times a year?
Three.
Three times a year. He's going to remember that all their males must be blank in order to come to a festival. They have to go through what?
Circumcision.
They got to go through circumcision. See, now we're learning. Okay. So we got to be circumcision. Okay. Circumcised. Okay. We all know that at a certain age, all the males are supposed to bring some redemption money at a certain time. We also know that all the males over the age of 20 would have to do military service. Okay. So Yah's not discriminating against females. He's saying that, listen, the part of my creation that I want to appear before me are the ones that I gave that role and responsibility to. Okay. Both male and female, we have our different roles, which is pretty fascinating to me, is that there's things that women can do that we can't do. One of the things that a woman can do that a man can't do is this. An Azer. An Azer is a helper. That's what a woman is. And she shares this idea and this occupation with the Creator. Now, there might be men who might have Azer Yah, okay, meaning Yah is my help. But a man who has a wife has supposed to have a helper. Help him because it's not good, it's not tov, it's not functional that he is alone. Okay. So I'm going to bring us into this relationship, because all this about offerings and coming to Yah and coming a certain way has to do with the relationship between us and our Creator, which is indicative of the relationship between a husband and wife. Okay. In a marriage, they have intimacy. Okay. And the intimacy is what they will call on a marriage bed. Okay. Yah has a marriage bed. Who wants to take a guess and tell me what that marriage bed is?
The altar.
Yes, the altar. Okay. The altar is Yahweh's bed. You said, well, you're getting a little personal. No, I'm telling you what it is. Yah desires intimacy with his people, and this is the way that he comes to his people, and they unite with him through this method of sacrifice. And that's why he asked for it to be perfect. Now, tell me something. If someone was to bring something other than what he asked for, the instructions that the husband gave the wife, well, just say this. Let me back it up. The husband asked the wife to prepare a meal for him, and she brings him something other than what he asked for. What did she just do? Give me some ideas.
Disrespected his wishes.
Disrespected him. Okay. And where did she get the idea that he wanted potato salad when he asked for mashed potatoes? You see? So obviously, Yah is telling Israel, this is the things that I want you to bring to me. And I want you to bring it the way that I asked you to bring it to me. If you bring it any other way, then I know that something's wrong. I know that you're getting the recipe from somewhere else. Anytime we do something outside of what Yah asked us to do is indicative of us committing adultery and being unfaithful to him. We're going to get a little deeper into that when we find out that Yah has killed two of Aaron's sons because they offered a strange fire, a foreign fire to him. that he told them not to. Okay. So if he's asking them for certain things, this is what he wants. We find in the book of Malachi that they didn't do this. The priests, they weren't doing this. They were bringing him what they wanted to bring him. They were bringing him lame animals. They were bringing him blind animals. They were bringing him sick animals. Okay. So what they were doing was distorting the whole reason and purpose behind the offering, which is to continue to build a closeness with his people. This is the only way. This is the reason why we have a Mishkan with an altar. This is the reason why we have a high priest who is supposed to perform this service on us, because not all of us are set apart for Yahweh in a way that he wants. Otherwise, he'd break out on us and have to kill every last one of us, like he did in the book of Numbers for those who approached him, and he didn't give them permission. You see? So we have to do what Yah asks us to do in the manner that he asks us to do it. Okay. So I've spent enough time on this in particular chapter right here. I want to go to chapter number 2 right quick and deal with the Minchah. Okay. So the first one was the Olah. The second one is called the Minchah. Okay. The Minchah is what you call in English Minchah. Okay. The Minchah. All right. So again, we're going to find this word all the time. I'm going to show it to you. Chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we're going through are all talking about the same thing, and it's disguised by this word offering. And it's not, it's really qua rav. Okay. To draw near, to be close. Okay. So Yah calls us to come close to him, and he wants us to bring him a minchah. This is completely voluntary. Completely voluntary. Okay. So this is a flour. Okay. Fine flour. It has to be done a certain way if a person wants to draw near with their offering. If you notice right here, kof, the resh, the bet. The kof, the resh, the bet. These go together. Okay. Not just because one offers, it means this one doesn't mean just offer. It means to draw near. Why is this pen so fat? Or go close, come close. We have to make a choice whether or not you and I want to come to Yah in this way. Closeness. What does minchah mean? Is it just grain? What is this about? Well, the root of this in particular word, okay, which I'll show you right quick. So next time you go and you look it up, you'll find that the minchah has to do with something that a gift, a tribute, an offering. But there's a deeper meaning behind it. This is the plain meaning, okay? The meaning behind this has to do with it being a gift, but it also means rest. And let me show that to you. Let me move this right here. The minchah. The minchah is about rest. Well, why does Yah want to tell us about this rest? Why would he? Why is he asking us for this? This minchah. You know, why is it associated with rest? Somebody tell me when I'm looking it up. What does rest have to do with this?
And to cease from any labor.
Yes, good, excellent. So here is the root for the word minchah. Check this out. It's mind-boggling. It blows your mind. The root is a noon and a ket, okay? And if you know, this has to do with the word called Noach, okay, which is the man who brought rest, because that's what his name means, okay? But also means to guide. When Yah brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, he brought them to rest, okay? This is the goal. The goal is to take us from a place where we're being oppressed, as Kent just said, There's extensive labor on us, and he has to lead us out of a place to bring us to a place of rest. So the picture graph is a picture of a noon, which is a picture of a seed, okay, meaning continuation or continuance. This letter here, the ket, is a picture of a wall. So when you combine these, it means continue outside. So the idea is that the shepherd would guide his flock to a place of water. Here is water for drinking as well as green grass for pasturing. Once the flock arrives, they are free to rest after a long journey. So guided journey to a place of rest. It's a sigh of rest. So the word for rest is nach, right? But when you put the mem on the front of it, right here, you get our word minchah. I tripped out when I saw it. It only means a gift, but it's that which is brought. So minchah shares the noon and the ket. It's right in there. And once the letter, these two parent, this is a parent. So the parent root means rest. The child root, which is right here, minchah, okay, means gift. Yah says that when you bring this offering to him, right, it's a reminder of the rest that he's given to us, and the rest that he's given to us is a gift. You see, a lot of times we're thinking that whatever we're doing for him, it's like we're doing something for him. All we're doing for him is bringing something to him that gives him a reminder. That's what he's looking for. He wants to be reminded of the things that he's done. This is one of the reasons why he's asked us all the time to continue to remember the Moedim, to continue to tell your kids about me, to continue to share with your sons and your daughters about everything that I've done. This is the reason why I continue to tell the story that I've delivered you. I ask you to remember my deeds because I want you to remember what I did. I'm asking you to do these things because if you do them and you bring me the gifts that I'm asking, it's going to be a reminder to me that I'm the one. Yah is looking for what you would call glorification. And if you and I are not bringing our gifts to him, you got to be bringing them somewhere else. Okay. Again, back to the husband and wife relationship. I've asked you to bring me this because I like it. I love this certain dish that you made for me. But then every time I turn around, oh, my wife don't get mad at me. You either switch the recipe or you add something to it, you take away. And I told you that I liked it this way and you made it another way. And so sometimes it's me, sometimes I get disappointed. She's trying to spice it up. I don't need you to spice it up. I need you to make it the way that I like it. Okay. So I know that sounds crazy, but that's what Yah is telling us. Okay. It's because that's what he put inside of us. He's a husband to us. He said this, okay? So they're supposed to put frankincense on it. They're supposed to put oil on this thing, and they're supposed to bring it to him as a reminder, okay? And then they go on and talk about how the priest is supposed to take his portion and how the part that they burn all this to Yahweh in fire. Everything is burnt with fire, okay? And it says this phrase that I want to share with you, okay? I want to share this phrase with you before I go. It says that every time they would do the offering, you would hear this phrase over and over again about after they did it, they made it by fire. It was a ruach nekoach. It's a ruach nekoach. It's a sweet aroma. Somebody tell me what ruach means or reach. What does it mean?
Wind, breath.
Yes. It's the wind. It's the breath. It's the spirit. Okay. All these things can be used for that word, ruach or ureach. Okay. Ruach, reach. Same thing. And it ascends up. Okay. It's like a perfume to him. Okay. And he calls it a nekoach. What does that sound like? Nekoach. It sounds to me like Noach. It sounds to me like minchah. They share the same root. This word right here shares the root that minchah shares, And it says it's a nakoach, meaning it is something of rest. Yah gets a pleasure. Listen to me. Yah gets pleasure when his wife brings to him herself in the manner in which he asked her to, because it means that they have intimacy. If she brings her offerings that he didn't ask for, is disrespectful and is actually disheartening. Okay. It means that she's got her eye on something else or someone else. Okay. The focus of Israel should be on her husband, which is the creator. So that's why Yah has given us relationships and he's given us marriages to teach us about what the expectation is. That's why he puts the death sentence on anybody that touches my wife, or puts her to death if she goes outside the marriage. See, so Israel has this responsibility to come to Yah to make sure that they bring him what he asked them for, because it brings him pleasure. The rest that he's looking or he's interested in, to be reminded, is what he did. All these things that he says are a memorial to him. They're a memorial to him. He's actually being reminded every time someone does this. Okay. So could you imagine all the offerings that are made by fire brought to Yahweh? How many of you think, look, here it is? Sorry for cutting you off if you wanted to answer. It's a memorial. And here's our word zakar right there. Right there. Okay. Little Hebrew lesson. They added the aleph right here, and they added this on the end to let you know what it is. And here it is. Okay. It's a memorial. Okay. Why does it have a female and it says the car right here is a male? It's because the Minchah has the ah on the end, which means that it's feminine. It's feminine. It's active. In the Hebrew language, folks, listen to me. When a female or a word has the ah on the end, it means that it's active. She's the one who brings the activity. Okay. Listen, I know we've been taught different things about, the male is the aggressor. No, the male is he's the initiator. He's the initiator. The woman is the respondent. She's the one who's supposed to have an active role, just like the land. She's the one, Adamah, who brings forth that which comes out of the earth. The seed is male. When the seed goes in to the ground, it's the ground that takes that seed and opens it up. The seed cannot open itself up. You understand? So Yah is telling us through his language and through these offerings that the female is the one who's supposed to be active. Israel is Yahweh's wife. Okay. We also know that Yah says if a nefesh, and we'll see that too as well, if someone's soul wanted to come to me, a nefesh is feminine. Every human being has a nefesh, which is feminine in nature, because Yah looks at humanity as the one who's supposed to be actively pursuing or responding to him. Okay. So intimacy is all part of this, because Yahweh wants to get close. And that's what makes a marriage. And that's what makes a relationship. Relationships are only great when you have this closeness together. Okay. Then he said, whatever's left, it should be given to Aaron and his sons. And that's in chapter number 2. Talk about the Minchah offering. How much time do I have? I have a few more moments. Good. Okay. And so he says, L'reach Nakoach. These are going to be these things. Okay. I'm going to go to chapter number 3 right quick and tell you about this in particular offering. This in particular offering is called the Shalomim. Okay. So again, remember they told us that Yah is not interested in offerings. Okay. And that, it's always because of sin. And we always, but what are you supposed to do for your sin? That's the only thing that we've ever been taught. But they don't know that there's literally 5 very specific offerings that Yahweh asked for, which is the Olah, That's number one. I told you that one. The second one is called the Minchah. Okay, the Mem. Minchah. Okay. And the third is called this Shalomim. Okay. Shalomim. The Shalomim, it sounds like shalom. Okay. And they call it a peace offering. There's completely voluntary. Completely voluntary. Shalomim means to be made whole. Okay. To be made whole. Because if a person is to draw near to him, this is the purpose of this, is to draw near so they can be made whole. Let me get rid of this right quick. Let me click on it right quick. In sacrifice for alliance and friendship, very basic, but look where it comes from. Okay, when you look at the Bible Hub, don't go off the first definition and just move on. That's not a great study. What you want to do is, because that's just a sacrifice for alliance and friendship. So now they're giving us their ideas about how we're supposed to look at Yah. This is a wrong view of what we're supposed to be looking for. What you want to do is you want to go to the word origin and want to find out what it really means. Okay, because yeah, you can have an alliance and friendship, but we're not looking for a friendship, because Yah is not talking about my wife is not my friend. My wife is my companion. That's what she is. Why would you don't call, your wife your friend? Like we've been taught, well, that's my best friend. No, that's my wife. Okay, so let's look what shalom means, because this is what it really means. So it's from this word called shalom. Here it is, shalom. Again, to be complete or sound. Remember our other word that means complete? It was called tamim. Here's another word to be complete. Shalom or shalom. You would use this to say hello to someone. Okay. You would say shalom, which is just be here, a little dot right there. Shalom comes from the same root, to be complete and sound. When we say Shabbat Shalom, we're saying let's be complete, be whole. Okay, be sound. Be sound and being whole means don't be lacking anything. Okay, don't lacking. We want you to be solid. We want everything to be in place. We want you to not to be diminished in any kind of way, but to be complete. Okay, so this is what Yahweh is asking for us when we bring this offering. We're letting Yah know something, because it's not about our friendship. It's about letting him know, to remind us that the only way that you and I will ever be complete and sound is when we are with him and when we have shalom with him. Right now, you and I don't have shalom. We don't have complete shalom. We have an idea and a sense of it, but we don't really have it. So when we say Shabbat Shalom, it's something we would want for someone, but the reality is that we're in exile. The reality is that we're not in our land. The reality is that we don't have our homes the way that they should be. The reality is that we don't have the food that we're supposed to be eating. The reality is that we don't dress the way that Yah has told us to dress. When I talk about us, I'm talking about the children of Israel. We are supposed to be so distinctive and so unique that even everyone else around us would recognize that we are the chosen seed of the Creator. No one recognizes us at this moment. And if you realize that you don't have any shalom in the land of wickedness, in a place where there's transgenders, homosexuality, there's robbery, there's fraud, there's lying and cheating, adultery, it's all over the place. Pornography, everything, pedophiles, it's all here. Oppression, people robbing you from your wages. Well, you and I are getting right now is called shalom. Okay, so this one is to be made whole, and this one right here means to be made whole as well. Okay, but this one here means to be paid back. So right now, Yah's taking us on our journey to let us know that you guys are not at shalom. You're in shalom. And let me use one of his words to tell us that that's what he said. Okay. So we don't get our feelings hurt when he says, you're not at shalom with me. You're nowhere at shalom with me. You would know if you were shalom with me personally, if certain things would happen for you. Okay. So let's just begin right there in verse number 32 of Leviticus chapter number 26. Same book, Wayikra. Okay. 32 says, I will desolate the land so that your enemies living in it will be astounded by it. I will disperse among the nations. Okay. That's what I'm going to do. And I will draw out the sword and pursue after you while you're being dispersed. Your land will be a desolation and your cities a wasteland. That's not shalom, folks. Then at last, the land will be paid. Okay. It's Shabbats. Okay. This word right here, paid, is shalem. That's what it is. Okay. But I don't believe in just telling you that, because that's not fair. Let's actually go there and look at it with your own eyes. I want you guys to understand, anybody that takes on the position of trying to teach, you want them to verify. Get used to getting verification. That's what you need. We're going to go to chapter number 26, verse number 34, and I'm going to show you exactly what it is. Here it is. It's a long chapter. This chapter talks about all the punishments that Israel is going to receive if they don't do what he says. Here it is. Yeah. Okay. 34. Let me see. I will scatter desolation, dwell in your enemies, a sword, okay, in your land, and you become a waste. Okay, 34. Then shall enjoy, meaning she will enjoy the land, because she's feminine. Okay. The Sabbath, as long as it lies desolate without you in the land, without you, because you're in the land of your enemies. Then the rest of the land, okay, land will rest and enjoy the Shabbats, because that's what Israel did. They broke the Shabbats. As long as it lies desolate, meaning the land, and it rests. I'm reading from right to left, forgive me. For not did you allow it to rest when you dwelt in it. Okay. And those who are left of you, I will send faintness of heart into the lands of their enemies. I was looking for paid. Looking for paid. Might be off a verse. Let's see. Oh. You see right there, you guys, I don't mean to jump, but on 31, it says something that just we missed. He said, I will lay your cities desolate and waste and bring desolation to your sanctuaries, and not will I smell the fragrance of your sweet aromas. Which are we talking about? Our offerings. So this is part of the punishment. I'm not going to smell that either. I will bring desolation on the land, and you'll be astonished, your enemies who dwell in it. And then 33, and then I will scatter you among the nations, and then I'm going to draw out after you, okay, Halrikothi, after you a sword, and shall be your land desolate, and the cities will become a waste. Okay. Then we went into that 34 and then 35. As long as it lies desolate for the time of rest of Shabbats when you dwell in it, and those who are left of you, I will send in the faintness of their hearts in the lands of their enemies. And it shall cause them to, the sound of a leaf shall shake in them, and they will flee as though fleeing from the sword. And they shall fall when no one pursues them, and they will stumble over one another. Okay. As it were before a sword, and no one pursues them, and you have no power to stand before your enemies. There's no shalom. You shall perish among the nations, and they shall eat you up, the land of your enemies. There's no shalom. And those who are left in 39 of you shall waste away in their iniquity, meaning the twistedness of their thoughts, in the lands of your enemies. and also the iniquities of their fathers, which are with them, the ones that they taught you, shall waste away. But if they confess their iniquity, their twistedness, and their perversion, and the iniquity of their fathers with their unfaithfulness, in which they were unfaithful. Why do I unfaithful? Because you guys are like my wife to me. They were unfaithful. If you confess that you've been unfaithful to me, and also that you have walked contrary to me, meaning you didn't cook what I asked you to cook, you didn't do what I told you to do, right? Contrary. And always in opposition. And what it means here too, by the way, I don't want to just go over this real too quick, but when you look at this word contrary, it's talking about in opposition, but it's always talking about starting an argument, right? I say something, you want to go against what I said. And also that I walked contrary to them, right? When they went contrary to me, and I brought them into the land of their enemies. If they're humbled, if their hearts are humbled, okay, their hearts, winning their minds, of uncircumcised, then they will accept their guilt. Part of the confession is that what we've been doing and what we've been taught by our parents and our grandparents and our fathers and our ancestors have been wrong and has been contrary to Yah. Yah says if we would confess those things and we would acknowledge those things and the perversion of what they taught us, then he says, and then accept their guilt. We have to accept the guilt, not only for ourselves, but the guilt of our ancestors. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to say that what they've been taught is wrong. They want to hold on to it. In 42, it says, was zakarti. Remember our word zakar? Here it is right here again. I will remember as a memorial. I will remember. And I will remember, okay, the covenant of Yaakov. Okay, I'm going to remember the covenant of Yaakov, and I'm going to remember the covenant of, let's see here. Forgive me, this computer's moving a little slow tonight. The covenant of Yitzchak, and with the covenant of Abraham, I will eskor, I will remember. Okay, and the land I will remember. So Yah's going to remember the land. He's going to remember the covenants. And then he says, the land shall be left empty and will enjoy its Shabbats, and it will lie desolate without them, and they will accept the guilt, okay, because of the judgments of my judgments they despised. They despised my judgments and the statutes, their soul abhorred, okay? So we hated what he said. We hated what the statutes were. We hated what the mishpatim were, the judgment, the rulings. And he says, and yet for all this, and when they're in the land of their enemies, because that's where we are, I will not will I cast them, nor will I abhor them to utterly destroy them, thus breaking my covenant with them. So if Yah was to hate us and to get rid of the covenant that you and I are under right now, this covenant, if he breaks his covenant with us, let's see, why is this pen doing this? If he was to break his covenant, okay, split it open, la hafer, if he was to spread open this covenant and break it and trample on it, then he said, I would have to utterly destroy them. So there again, you should know that our covenant is not over. Okay. Then he says, for I am Yahweh their Elohim. I'm not going to cast them away, but I will remember, 45, for their sake, the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought out of the land of Mizraim in the sight of all the nations, that I might be their Elohim. I am Yahweh. Okay. Okay. But I'm missing a word. I don't know if it jumped on me. That wasn't the word I was looking for. The word I was looking for was shalom. That's initially what I was looking for. And I don't know. Let me see. Forgive me, guys. Cities. All the animals. Fragrance. I will destroy in the high places and cut down Ethkem, and I will lay your cities. They will not smell the fragrance of the enemies of these stands. And I will scatter their enemies and draw after your sword, your land. And your Sabbath as long as and we shall. All right, Ethkem, the land. days. Sabbaths you shall dwell in it. Those who are left over and the hours of their enemies. I don't want to give up on it. I can't find it. Oh, I have to find it some other time. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. Humble hearts and uncircumcised, they accept their guilt. Something's missing. Anyway, the point that I was trying to make here is that when it talks about, you see where it says then at last the land will be paid. This is Shalem. Okay. And this right here is Shalem. Okay. The point I was trying to make is that there won't be any shalom until there's Shalem. There won't be any peace with Yah until we're paid back. The land has to be repaid back her Shabbats. Okay. And then he says, the land would have to be paid back her Shabbats. And also, too, we would have to be paid back for what we've done. Okay. The sound driven leaping, yes, no one pursuing, stumble among the nations. I would devour those who remain in penalty. If they confess, okay, rebellion, they admit they would against me, bringing them to their enemies and uncircumcised growth and prosperity and misdeeds. Okay. Oh, here you go. That's why I can't understand why I can't find that. That right there is Shalem. So the land has to be paid. And then if their uncircumcised hearts grow humble and they're paid the punishment for their misdeeds. Okay. So the people that decide that they're going to turn back to Yah, and that's going to admit that they went against Yah, they're going to admit, they're going to confess, and they're going to admit that they went against him. Okay. And he says, and at that time, what time? When they're in the land of their enemies, I will be going against them, bringing them into the land of their enemies. But if their uncircumcised hearts grow humble and they are paid for their misdeeds, then I will remember. So Yah won't remember until the punishment is paid for the misdeeds. Yah's not going to remember until the land is paid back her Shabbats. That's why I don't understand why, when I said here, they walk contrary to me. If they're uncircumcised and grow humble and they accept their guilt, I will remember the covenant. It's missing. I swear to you guys that the word paid here is missing. I don't know if they went in and they took it out, because I'm pretty sure. Kent, do you remember me showing this to you?
Yeah.
I did a while ago. The word paid is not even here. Anyway, that was the point I was trying to make. So we're going to continue our study on Shabbat. We're going to get a little bit deeper. I have a story to tell you when we get to the Shabbat, to talk more about when Yah's talking about calling out to him and him calling to us. Okay. Any questions or contributions? I'm sorry for the delay on that. I'm telling you, I believe that they took out that word. I swear to you that it was there, because I don't see it right now. I'm talking about if they would red sown, it's not red sown. It's always been Shalem. It's always been right there in those two places, but I'll look again and see what's going on. Maybe I'm looking at a different version. Any questions, contributions, comments? If not, I say shalom to you guys, and I'll see you on Shabbat.
Shalom.